Well, hello, and welcome back to Read Becca, my booktube friends, for a pile of possibilities for October. This pile is maybe more of a mountain, or possibly an iceberg. I think an iceberg is the better term, because this is a massive pile on its own, but almost every one of these books also has another one or two books connected with it that I would like to read along with it on a theme or topic or prompt of some sort. So iceberg is the right way to go, I think there. This list is very long, so I will not be reading every book on this list. I think realistically, the way I'm gonna go is grab whatever I'm feeling at the moment, and then if I am vibing with it, just follow that theme to the other books that are not on this list that I have associated with the book that I picked up. We will see. In addition, I also have a couple secret projects that are not here. I've got at least 10 books out from the library that are not here. So it's going to be a very heavy reading month that we will just hope that I can actually read all the books. It will magically happen, right? So I'm not going to talk through every one of these books in super depth because otherwise we will be here all day. Let's start with the nonfiction. First, I have Are Prisons Obsolete by Angela Y. Davis. This is, I think, probably a modern classic of nonfiction on this topic of prisons and inequity in the US prison system specifically. I've been meaning to get to Angela Y. Davis, and this is a short little thing. Next is one that's been on TBRs multiple times before, and it's on my yearly TBR, 9 Parts of Desire by Geraldine Brooks. Geraldine Brooks was a foreign correspondent or journalist overseas in the Islamic world, and this is the result of her experiences and interviews. I think this is just essays on those experiences with life in the Islamic world as a woman. And moving along to major event here, Bookttober. I truly want to finally get to George Eliot's Middlemarch. This is, I think, just commentary on society and just kind of everyday Victorian life. I don't know, but everyone seems to love it, and it is a huge, chunky book. So I would like to see what I think of it. But also, I think this is probably the first one that's going to slide out of the TBR most likely, because it is so large. I want to have the goal of at least starting the book by the end of the month, and it will probably come toward the end of the month. So some reading of Middlemarch, hopefully. And then another chunky one that's been on my TBR before and was on my TBR last October for Orktober. And that's Grunts by Mary Gentle. I don't know very much about this other than it's probably very generic, high adventure fantasy featuring orc characters, and it is also a chunky one, over 500 pages. So this slipped off of my Orktober TBR last year, and I would like to bring it back again this year. Then we have another one that's on my yearly TBR a couple times, and I haven't gotten to, but I very much need to read some Robin McKinley. And it seems perfect for spooky season. This particular book, Sunshine, is about vampires. And Robin McKinley, I know, writes very lyrically, I think, and also writes a lot of fairy tale retellings. So I don't think this has any fairy tale retelling tie-in, but I do have other books from McKinley that do. So I would like to try this one out during spooky season and see how it goes. And then continuing a series, I have Peg and Rose Play the Ponies by Lauren Berenson. This is the third in the Senior Sleuths series, and I very much enjoyed this cozy mystery series as far as I've gone. It's quite sweet and features a lot of dogs and like dog competition. So I've really just enjoyed this one and want to continue on. And I think this is the latest that's out in this series. And then a very hyped author that I have wanted to try and is perfect for spooky season again is Darcy Coates' Craven Manor. I love a good gothic spooky house story. Darcy Coates is one of those authors who I think has been very big on social media and like really gone wild with hype over the past maybe year and a half or 2 years. And every single thing I've heard from people who rave about her work seems like it's going to be my sort of horror, which I'm very particular about. So I really wanted to give this spooky house story a try. Then we have a reread that I keep pushing off and wanting to get to for multiple years and just not doing. This is Shark Teeth by Toby Barlow. This is a novel in verse, and it is all about werewolves, but not your traditional werewolves. This is a love story about a dog catcher who catches a lady werewolf and brings her into the pound, and then discovers she is a werewolf, not a dog, and falls in love with her. And it's also quite, that makes it sound happy. It's not. It's kind of very gritty. It's taking place in contemporary world in California, if I remember, and there are werewolf gangs. So it's a very, very different take on the werewolf. Good for spooky season as well. And then we've got another gothic-y, spooky, I think. I'm the last person in the world who has not read The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. And I think this is probably, actually the last three here are probably the most reliably likely to be 5-star hits. Setterfield has 3 books out, novels as far as I know, and the other 2 have both been 5-star reads for me. This one is her most popular, everyone loves, so it could be that I am the antithesis of the hype and I don't like her most popular book, or it will live up to the hype and I will love it as well. So everything I've heard about this sounds like my vibe. I think I'm gonna love it. I hope I do. And it's time to finally get to it. And then continuing with another series, I've got Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the finale of the Earth and Sky trilogy. It's got a long title, I can't remember. But this is the third in a high epic fantasy trilogy that's set in a pre-Columbian world. Very, very different, and it's many perspectives, it's very wide spanning, and this has been a really gripping series that I've enjoyed very, very much. So I'm looking forward to wrapping it up, as this just came out. And then another one, I think that one is likely to be a 5-star as well, and this last one is also very likely to be a 5-star. This is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. And Robert Jackson Bennett is someone I adore as a fantasy writer. He writes very different fantasy that has kind of the bones of what you expect of really solid world building and quirky characters, but turning things on their head. This one is I think fantasy horror a bit, like some fungal horror elements, and you can kind of see the spookiness. There's little skulls in there in these blooms, and it's also Sherlockian. I think it's a gender-swapped Sherlock, if I recall, but I've been trying to avoid knowing too much about this, but I think everything I have heard about this, it's kind of dark and sarcastic a bit, and has that great sense of humor that he pulls in, as well as the really wonderful world building. So this seems like a perfect October book too. But I've loved Jackson Bennett's work before. I think I'm gonna love this. So that is my, it's upside down, so this is not gonna work. So this is the iceberg of possibilities. Please let me know which ones you really want to see me get to. I am, it may be all or none, but I am cautiously optimistic. So let me know down below what I should get to first, and thank you so very much for watching.